25-point leads mean nothing. Injuries, do they mean anything?
That's the question.
Not.
Game 3 Eastern Conference Finals ended just seconds ago. Here are the highlights on SportsCenter. Speaking of injuries, Celtics fans held their breath twice. They exhaled twice. And then the final score happened and they exhaled, but not in the way they were hoping. Heat Celtics, here we go. Over less than 2 minutes ago. Full postgame coverage. Stephen A. Smith, Matt Barnes, hang tight. Full postgame. Look who's back. Kyle Lowry missed the last 4 playoff games. Hamstring injury. Lowry and company pushing the pace. Jimmy Butler will finish with a tough 2. Coming off a tough game 2 where he had 29, 41 in game 1. And then Lowry, this is what they were missing. From downtown Miami, made their first 6 shots, get out to a double-digit lead, as referenced Nicole said. Big leads for both teams, doesn't end up mattering. Bam Adebayo came out firing after a very quiet first 2 games. He was great. See that 16 combined? First quarter in Boston, he had 12. Our analysts were crushing him first half of game 1. He was so timid, anything but. And then Caleb Martin. Both teams, Nicole, have these role players that come off the bench you don't expect to see at this stage. Miami up 21 after 1. Celtics have never had a larger deficit after the first quarter in a home playoff game. That goes back a long time. Here comes Al Horford. Missed game 1 in the health and safety protocol. Celtics trying to cut into that big Miami lead. And then Smart, Tatum, big 3 to end the half. It's down to just, quote, 15 as the Celtics end the half on a 10-0 run. Butler, right knee inflammation. They got to keep an eye on that. Remember, he had that problem in the first round against Atlanta. In the third, Grant Williams, you can't hit all of them. Smart, landing awkwardly in serious pain. You saw what he did in game 2 when he came back. Nicole. He would be helped to the locker room, and it seems impossible.
Like, no weight on it.
Right, and you would think you could possibly return in this game after rolling it and needing assistance to get to the locker room. Hang tight. Over 7 minutes to go. It's down to a dozen. Max Strus, again, one of those role players. Miami back up 15, and look who's jogging.
And he's running.
Back out onto the floor. Willis Reed style, as we said. Look, the defense he played in game number 2. He's the defensive player of the year. Showing a ton of heart. Standing O, ready to go. Welcome back, Nicole. Any worse for wear? Nope, from 3. It's a 10-point game. But as we go to the 4th, Heat fans take solace. Miami 61-0 in playoff games in which they have a double-digit lead entering the 4th, and they're up 15 entering the final period. It's now down to single digits. Adebayo. Whoa, wow. Heat now up 11. And then Tatum. I told you they held their breath twice. First for Smart, who went down, and then it's like Tatum kind of goes down in a heap. They said it was a bit of a shoulder injury. He would go to the locker room. Very quiet night, had just 10 points, one of his worst games of the playoffs. Celtics trying to fight back, doing everything they can, getting it to drop. And then, look at this. Jaylen Brown, Nicole, he had 40 for Jaylen Brown. And there's Tatum on the bench, watching, trying to climb all the way back. Man, when you needed a bucket, he was your guy. 93-92, it's down to 1. Strus again, breathing room for the Heat. It's a 4-point game. And then, Bam, closing the door, drawing contact, gets it to go. 109, 103. Home court is theirs again. Browns 40, not enough. Incredible. Full post game is coming in seconds. Stephen A. Smith, we're monitoring both locker rooms. The Heat defense led the way. Remember, Butler had that knee inflammation, so they couldn't rely on his offense. Miami had a franchise record, 19 steals in this game, one shy of the playoff record held by the Sixers and the Bucks, and now appropriately, Nicole, they have stole back home court advantage.
They also got a player back in some regards. Let's bring in our Matt Barnes, who was watching the game as well. Close eye on Bam Adebayo, who's been so quiet through the first 2 games. He had those 16 points combined. Tonight, 31 points and 31 points. I was combining Kyle Lowry and Bam's points there, but the bottom line is he was much more effective tonight. What did he do that allowed him to break out of the slump?
Well, my X factors coming into this series were Bam Adebayo and Jaylen Brown, and neither of those guys disappointed tonight. But Bam was just aggressive. 16 points over the first 2 games is really not up to his standards. I like the fact that he got up 22 shots tonight, scored 31 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. He was doing it all over the floor, on both sides of the floor. Offensively, one-on-one moves, getting the ball to the pick and roll and moving it from side to side. You see a face-up jumper right there. If Bam plays like this, Miami is going to be really tough to beat the rest of the series.
Thank you for clarifying those stats for me, at least that you can read it, and apparently I can't. If Bam plays like this, but they were able to do this also while losing Jimmy Butler, who's been so good for them. How are they able to keep it going while also missing Jimmy Butler for the entire second half?
Well, I think Miami, there was really no rhythm or flow to their offense in the second half, and I think that their best offense was good defense. Victor Oladipo's numbers won't jump out the page to you, but he was so instrumental in just making things tough for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum down the stretch. He had 4 steals, but he probably caused maybe 3 or 4 more on top of that just by having active hands. But their defense was incredible. Kyle Lowry's veteran leadership out there making big plays down the stretch, also getting some steals. They were able to do it on the defensive end. As you saw, they didn't really have any kind of flow in the second half offensively. So I'm definitely looking, I know they're looking forward to hopefully having Jimmy back next game. But just really hats off. I mean, PJ Tucker, an unsung hero, did a great job on Tatum tonight, but also knocked down 17 points, 7 rebounds. So this was definitely a blue-collar win, and they could hang their hat on the defensive end tonight for the Miami Heat.
I do want to get your thoughts real quick on Jason Tatum, who was very quiet tonight. What did you see from him that made him so ineffective?
It was just one of those off nights, and he had one against Milwaukee Bucks in that series, and this is just a time that you can't have off nights. 3 for 14, and obviously you want to credit Miami's defense because they made him tough looks, but outside of not shooting the ball well, he was also very loose with the ball. 6 turnovers. Boston had 23 turnovers, which led to 30 points for the Miami Heat, and in the playoffs you can't have that. But these are all shots that Jason Tatum normally makes, but just tonight he didn't. So look for him to come back game 4 and have a big night.
Just 10 points for Tatum tonight. It is now a 2-1 series lead for the Heat. Matt, don't go too far. We're going to bring you back in just a bit.
All right, so the big deal in this game were the turnovers. I just counted them up. The Celtics starters themselves, these are the guys that have to win the game for Boston. They combined the starting 5 for 22 turnovers. Tatum, Nicole said at the quiet night, he had 10.6 turnovers, knee inflammation, so they couldn't rely on his offense. Miami had a franchise record 19 steals in this game, 1 shy of the playoff record held by the Sixers and the Bucks, and now appropriately, Nicole, they have stole back home court advantage.
They also got a player back in some regards. Let's bring in our Matt Barnes, who was watching the game as well. Close eye on Bam Adebayo, who's been so